Let's pull up this for you to see. Dear casinos, losing money isn't fun, is it? Now, if you've been to a casino, there's a good chance that you've also lost money, simply because the odds are always with the house. Today, we're going to discuss about Genting Singapore. Is it worth a bet right now? Now, if you look to different research houses, you get different answers. Let's pull this up firstly by Maybank. Maybank says buy for the cheap valuations, stay for the dividend use. Of course, they have a bit more rosy in terms of projections wise. And what they actually try to state is, in terms of price to book value, Genting Singapore is at all-time low, which means you're not buying something that is overpriced, and very likely you're going to have good investment results. On the other hand, if you pull this up by RHB, let me show you this over here, you realize that they'll be singing a different tone. Tough times lie ahead. Now, obviously, they are a lot more pessimistic. They feel that you should take profit if you have a Genting position right now. And that maybe they're also considering other casinos have lost much more in terms of valuations. The company that owns Marina Bay Sands is Las Vegas, and let's pull this up by Las Vegas Sands. You look at their share price, they've taken a much worse hit than Genting Singapore. So today's discussion, is Genting worth a bet in today's pandemic, today's valuation? If this topic interests you, continue watching. Hi guys, welcome back. Now today's discussion will revolve around 4 key parts. The first, I'll give you a clear overview of the group structure of Genting because it can be a little bit confusing. The second part I'll touch on is the business model of Genting Singapore, just in case you're not too familiar how they actually derive profits. The third part I'll touch on is actually the risk, especially if you're investing in Genting Singapore right now, as well as what they are trying to do to survive this current pandemic. Of course, it's not easy for any business in the hospitality sector. The fourth, I'll give you a glimpse to the future of Genting Singapore, as well as what I imagine are possibilities that it can develop its future revenue towards. Now, the first part, as I promised you, an overview of Genting itself. Genting Berhad is actually the parent, the group company, and within it, if you Google search, there are a few things. There's Genting Malaysia Berhad, which owns the casino on Genting Highlands. Do not confuse that with RWS, because that is owned by Genting Singapore. Both belongs to the parent company, Genting Berhad. Let me pull up for you to quickly see. This is the share price for Genting Berhad. But if you look in terms of Genting Singapore, the share price is different. Genting Singapore is listed in Singapore. It is owned about 52% by Genting Berhad. And the curious thing I found out is when I was examining Genting Singapore, it actually did better than STI index itself. Let me pull up this chart for you to quickly see. You realize that it's outperformed on this year-to-date performance, which means this company, Genting Singapore, while it's in the hospitality segment, has done actually better than the index, which has banks, which I believe are not as badly affected as any company in hospitality, which is a bit surprising to me. Maybe RWS, people believe will still be around, they have a strong balance sheet, something like what Maybank suggested in the first part of the video. And next part, let's touch on is the business model of Genting Singapore. I'll give you a clear overview of the business model because I'm sure there's some parts which you did not realize. Now in this segment, let's talk about the business model of Genting Singapore. I've actually dug up data points over the past 10 years to give you a glimpse, to understand Genting Singapore a little bit better. What is this trend? Now, the first part to understand is Genting Singapore actually has 2 main revenue segments. One is the gaming segment, which means the casino operations, the profits from casino. The second part is the non-gaming, which encompasses hotels, F&B rental outlets, theme park sales. So that is the second segment. So clear? Gaming as well as non-gaming segment. And what we can see over here, let me pull this up for you to see. This is the 2010 statement. The key part that I would like to focus is this EBITDA, earning before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization. EBITDA for 2010 was 1.42 billion. And what we can also learn from that is the non-gaming segment was 12.7% only, a small fraction of its total earnings. But what we can see moving forward, fast forward 5 years later, let me pull this up for you to see. 2015, you realize that the EBITDA has dropped to 0.92 billion. But then the contributions for non-gaming actually swelled up to 27%, which means in this period they've actually started to lose profitability. And that the gaming segment has actually taken a heavier load. Is the casino segment has gradually lost profitability for the company itself. And let's move to the last year's statement, 2019. Let me pull this up for you to quickly see. EBITDA recovered slightly to 1.23 billion, which is still not fantastic compared to 10 years ago. It's even lower than 10 years ago. And that the non-gaming segment now contributes 33.6% of the total earnings for the company itself. What does this tell you? Genting Singapore has gradually moved to rely a lot on casino operation profits to non-casino revenue, which means they're actually trying to earn more from hotels, from theme parks. That's where they believe possibly is going to take them moving forward. And why is this so? Let me pull this statement up for you to quickly see. This is actually in 2015. It mentions that casinos have actually been projected to sprout out all across Asia, South Korea, China, Macau. More casinos have actually sprouted out, including Philippines. And that means for hardcore gamblers, there's a lot of choices, which means the pie for casino revenue is just shrinking all the time. And Genting Singapore knows that. That's why they've tried to develop this integrated resort. Make sense now? This whole RWS is an integrated resort. They try to give you hotel stay, theme park stay. The gaming part is just increasingly like a sidekick. And that's why I believe Genting Singapore is trying to invest in this direction to really grow this non-gaming segment, because that is more sustainable, I believe. Now that we understand that non-gaming segment is very important to Genting Singapore's future, let's peel open some key parts mentioned in the annual report. The first one which I would like to show you over here. This mentioned by the chairman is actually that the hotels continue to outperform the industry average with occupancy of more than 90%, which means Genting hotels are popular. Of course, if you are flying in from somewhere in China or Japan, you're keen to stay near the resort theme park for your children. That is understandable, and they've actually outperformed all of the other hotels, which, if I'm not wrong, has about 85% average occupancy. More than 90% is a very commendable hotel occupancy rate. Then the next part we realize is they also mentioned that their key attractions, Universal Studios, SEA Aquarium, these are really the key reasons why 7.6 million visitors come to the Genting Integrated Resort itself. And just to give you some backdrop, Universal Studios was actually launched in March 2010. Gradually, it's contributed more and more to the profitability. The SEA Aquarium itself was actually developed in November 2012. So these assets are getting pretty old, but nonetheless, they've actually been a key reason why Genting is actually being able to attract more people to stay in their hotels than the rest of the hotels on this island. Now the key part is this. With this integrated resort, government has actually given them an exclusive extension, which means there's not going to be another resort built in Singapore that's going to compete with Genting. This exclusivity is actually mentioned to extend to end of 2030. That is a huge competitive moat, which means Genting can rely on this exclusive thing and invest and build more, expand their theme parks, which is what they are intending to do. They're intending to sink $4.5 billion worth of money to expand this whole integrated resort by almost 50%. I'll leave links below just in case you're keen to find out what are their expansion plans. But also towards the end of the video, I'll be critiquing some parts of it, so stay tuned for that part. Now in this segment, let me share with you what I understand in terms of Genting's business, what are the risks, as well as what it's trying to do to survive this current pandemic. And let's start with this statement, which is the cash flow statement from 2019. What I've highlighted in red over there is depreciation. As we know, Genting owns properties, hotels, theme parks. Those are properties, and properties become older and older. That's why there's depreciation. And highlighted in red over there is the depreciation, which takes place about 300 million each year. Now, Genting is an asset-heavy company, but if you compare 300 million with SIA, for example, which has to depreciate its airplanes possibly much more aggressively, you realize that it's still not too bad. The buildings, theme parks can get older, need refurbishing, but nonetheless, it's still pretty good a business model. And let's highlight in this yellow segment over here, you realize that in terms of cash flow from operations, it brings in more than $1 billion each year. The casinos make money, the hotels make money. If you own this business, more than $1 billion comes in terms of cash flow from operations, which is good, which means it's like a cash cow, really drives you money. And then that is actually in normal times, 2018, 2019. But moving forward, this pandemic has really shaken things up. This cash flow from operations is going to drop sharply. That's why to survive, its management has actually came up with a few things. They are going to take a pay cut. Directors are going to take a pay cut of 18 and 15% respectively. Managing staff has been encouraged to take pay cuts 9% to 18%, and staff, the ground level staff, taking no pay leave. Now, everybody in Genting seems to be taking the hit in one way or another. I think that shows good leadership in many ways. But not just that, there's good news also, because government has issued many budget reliefs, and one of them is the resilience budget, which I put up for you to quickly see. If you're keen to find, the links are also below in the summary, so look for them also to understand the business a little bit better. And what is highlighted in this article, let me show you also. It's been mentioned that they've dug out certain levels in terms of salary. Genting pays about 456 million in terms of salaries. And then this portion is going to be a variable cost that eats the company while there's no revenue. But thankfully, in terms of this budget, and packages coming from government, they are going to see some savings in terms of wages. How much is your question? This has been done by analysts, so the heavy lifting has been done by them. So estimates range very widely from 50 to 150 million all the way to 171 million. Who's right, who's wrong? As of now, there's no concrete answer yet. Simply because there's a few segments. The theme park staff are likely eligible for 75%. The casino staff are entitled to 25%, which means no analyst has a concrete answer yet. But using 100 million in terms of wages savings is a good and probably reasonable estimate. But nonetheless, saving on wages is one part. The real pain, the real risk is really in this chart over here. What do you see? This is mentioning that tourism arrivals are diving tremendously, much more than in September 11, much more than in SARS, much more than in global financial crisis. This is an unprecedented amount of decline, simply because every country is in lockdown mode right now. So will this actually affect profitability? Will Genting go into losses for this year? I've actually looked at many broker reports. Generally, they are suggesting Genting will not be negative this year. They are still suggesting Genting will be marginally profitable. But as I've looked through their reports, generally they have not projected a second wave of lockdown. What if COVID-19 has a second wave globally and that countries go into this lockdown mode for a second wave? That would definitely be an unexpected black swan event that would tremendously alter Genting's estimates moving forward. So do take note, most broker reports have been projecting we have right through this crisis, recovery in 2021. But what if there's a second wave? They've actually not factored that risk into the equation. So in the next segment, let me share with you what I understand in terms of future of Genting. Because if you're interested in Genting to invest as a company, you should be excited about its future prospects, and the next segment is for you. Now, if you have stayed till here, smash on the subscribe button so you get notified whenever I release a financial video for you to help you in your journey. And again, smash a like so that more people can see valuable content like this. Now, as we've discussed so far, Genting is looking to upgrade itself with certain 4.5 billion committed to increasing its integrated results. Let me share with you details of RWS 2.0. This is mentioned in its annual reports. They are intending to build 2 new parks, Minion Park as well as Super Nintendo World. And in addition, they are doing 2 new hotels. Now, what did I share with you so far? You know that hotels, theme parks are its revenue source moving forward. They are relying less and less in terms of the casino operations and more on hotels and theme parks. That's why they're investing their monies towards that direction. So you may be thinking, 4.5 billion, are they going to go into debt because of it? I've actually done some heavy lifting for you. Right now, in terms of their cash, they have a net cash of $3.4 billion, which means they only need to borrow about $1 billion to fund this whole expansion project. Now, this does not take into account there are another adventure that they are trying to bid towards, which is the Japanese integrated resort. Now, if you're investing into Genting Singapore, you have to be excited by its future prospects, either in the RWS 2.0 or the Genting Japan, which is still now uncertain yet. It's still a long shot, but nonetheless, they seem to be pretty confident. Japan's IR, which is over here in this timeline, may take place in 2021, and if they get a chance of winning that, they're going to see their share price spike. So again, that could be a positive spike to its performance moving forward as well as its revenue moving forward. Nonetheless, as we've understood, Genting is an asset-heavy company, which means it needs to keep pouring money, build new hotels, build new theme parks to make more money. I always wish that Genting has some asset-like business money-making opportunities. And just in case you thought it was impossible, let me show you something by Disney. Disney can make money from theme parks. Disney can make money from this. Let me show you this. This is actually in Disney's media networks. I'm sure you've seen before Disney's cartoons. That doesn't need investment into property. That is such an easy way to make money. Disney has that proprietary portion of it, which means media networks bring in certain revenue, certain profitability to its company. I wish Genting has that option also, has that side income also, so it doesn't require so much of capital expenditure and asset development all the time. Now, to end things with, I'd like to share with you a quote. This is actually by Paul Samuelson. It's actually mentioning that investing should be more like watching paint dry or watching grass grow, and if you want excitement, take your money to Las Vegas. Now, it's a bit ironic because today we're talking about a gambling company, and yet when you invest into a gambling company, you should avoid a gambler's mindset. you should be investing slow and steady like watching grass grow. So hopefully all this sharing helps you evaluate Genting Singapore as a business, as well as whether a share that you might like or not. And again, if you have questions, leave them in the comment sections. I'll pick up each and every one of them. And also I have a previous video on CapitaLand which might interest you, so see you in that video. It's also talking about CapitaLand, which is an asset heavy property company. And with that, I'll sign off. See you in that video also. Take care and goodbye.